Okay, I say we just go for it. Just so that we don't keep everyone here the whole evening. Does that work for everyone? Yeah. Okay, cool. Great. So, my name is Christina Robb, and I currently serve as the chair of the East Liberty Park Community Organization. I am in my second term, and we're happy to have some new faces here tonight. This is the beginning of East Liberty Park Community Organization's October 2025 meeting. So welcome everybody in the room and everybody on Zoom. Thanks for coming. We have a pretty packed schedule because it's CIP season, but for the first part, or basically we're just going to move through the agenda pretty quickly. So are you all set up to handle the meeting so I can?
Let me see if I can see your computer.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not anything we've ever had. Usually this is the easiest setup before. So we're not really. It's just not moving with the voices. So
I'm trying to look it up.
It's not that big of a deal. It just means that you guys won't be in the video recording of the meeting that gets posted. So Jeanette will be the only person. Online.
I was here.
We'll see all the people online.
I looked it up wrong. The primary reason an owl doesn't move is because of its natural defense mechanism.
It's on the defense right now.
Well, it's in fight or flight. So usually at this time, we have our fire folks here, but as you know, they're always on duty when they come. So, if they don't come, we usually think they're busy. But just a quick update from the fire department. Station 1 is now open and they've moved back. So we no longer are sharing Station 5 with the big trucks again. And we're moving chat out and, our mobile response teams out of Station 5 pretty regularly. Since those are the highest responding units in the city, we don't see the fire very often. But two things that have really come up as of recently are that it's getting cold. So people need to prepare for cold weather. And you can always go to their online resources at, on the website. So go ahead and check that out. Also, I just barely before this meeting heard from our wonderful District 5 liaison from the police department. And he is back with us. He was changed from his duty covering some spots for the last 3 months. So he's back with us and he'll be at our next meeting. If you have any questions for the police department about crime statistics or how to utilize the new community tools from the Salt Lake City Police Department, just email us, go ahead and phone us, communicate with us however you choose. And we have a direct communication with them at all times. If you want to talk to our liaison directly, we can also hook that up. You don't need to go through the community council. We can make sure they reach out to you as residences or businesses directly for public safety issues. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, so Josh, our Salt Lake City Mayor's liaison for District 5 is up next. Thanks for being here, Josh.
Yeah, it's good to be here with you in person, and hi to those online. I joined the meeting online because I wanted to show some pictures from a tour that we had with the mayor that Christina was at this a couple weeks ago at the Glendale Regional Park, which is
I was there too. It's great.
Yeah.
Judy was there too, right? Sorry. Judy was there too. And anyone else? No? Okay.
From
Jeff was there. Maybe he
posted a bunch of photos.
Yeah, so I wanted to actually share some of the pictures from that to kind of give you a sense of what the park looks like currently.
It's
And
gonna be a fantastic
yeah,
facility.
I was really impressed by it. I didn't know what to expect. And
It's ready for you to share, so should be all good there, Josh.
perfect. Oh, okay. So I think you can, I'm like looking for how I make this bigger, but anyway, so oh, it's like way behind. I did that like a minute ago. Like I felt like I tried to make it bigger, but I don't know if it worked. Um, hold on a sec here.
I can't do it. I can't do it from.
Yeah, I'm like trying to, I did this before and like the little thing in the corner is not there to make it like big, but
Is
uh,
it right up there?
No.
No, zoom in.
it's fine. So anyway, we can see it. Um, So just going through some of the pictures here, we had community council chairs and representatives of the community council. So some uh, council chairs and board members. We didn't lose the Zoom. Okay.
No, it's fine. It just.
Okay. So there's a picture right there of looking out into the park. This is phase one. This is of course the Raging Waters / Seven Peaks site that was out on 1700 South in Glendale and is being turned into a regional park. The first park and kind of the biggest park of Salt Lake is built in quite some time. And phase one is still slated to open this year, apparently. They said I think we had heard like summer, but then there was some delays as there tends to be nowadays with construction. But I don't know. I think when we were there, it was raining, so there was quite a bit of some mud and things on the walkways. But for the most part, you can see a lot of the landscaping taking shape and put in place, and there is still some sod that they need to go in place that hasn't been done yet, though. So it's just walking down some of the walkways there, one of the pavilions, and I wanted to. There's a lot of cool features in the park along the walkways. You have these sort of instruments. These are metal, and they have the shape of like the cattails, but they have little hammers that you hit them, and each one kind of makes a different note. And so those are kind of interspersed throughout the park. Um, you can see actually the mayor right there, and that was actually I think Jeff from Liberty Wells Community Council that was.
That is definitely.
And then so that's part of the park right there. You can see the playgrounds and play areas, and that's kind of that soft material on there,
Like a rubber. It's really cool.
like a rubber. Yeah. And then there's concrete also on the walkways. Um, some of the swing area. One of the centerpieces though is this big crane. Wooden and you can climb on it. There's like some ropes to climb up the back of it, and there's sort of footholds and handholds on the wings to climb up it. So that was a very striking kind of piece of the playground design. I'd say it's a very unique park. There's not really any park that I've been to that quite looks like it, and the features and the way they designed everything. It's not very standard, like you'd think of a playground or what a park looks like. It's really cool looking. But so yeah. So that's a total of 17 acres that the park will be. The phase one is like I think less than half of it. and they still have quite a bit of work to do to get phase two up and going, but I believe that's probably opening sometime to 2027. And they're aiming for full completion of the park.
They
But
saved a lot of the trees too.
they saved a lot of the trees. And another cool thing is they're doing is that they're following the layout of the water park in some ways. I believe that they said that they're doing an amphitheater where the wave pool was and kind of keeping that same shape.
And the
Oh,
hills too.
And the hills too. There's gonna be sort of there's a big hill right in the middle, and they're gonna be able to walk up and it'd be sort of an observation point. And it'll be either through stairs or pathway that'll be ADA accessible. So it'll be really cool. It'll have access to the river. They kind of really want to integrate the access to the river part. So yeah, that was for kind of a sneak peek of the park before it opens and starts to open. And yeah, just if there's any questions, just let me know. I'm happy to get questions answered from the park design team, the park construction team. They were out there on the tour and they had a lot of information. John Redus of Parks Public Lands is the project lead on it, and he's had a lot of experience in designing other park projects in the county, and so he was really great. And so yeah, it was an exciting thing to see, and almost got kind of almost got canceled actually because of the rain. It had rained. There was a big
Raining
downpour,
like crazy. right
big
at the
downpour
front.
like right before, and yeah, but it cleared up thankfully, so we're able to do that. But yeah, I'll stop the share on that. Any questions about the Glendale Park or?
Can I make a comment? Just the things that were really impressionable to me were one, that it's just this really great regional park that Salt Lake City hasn't seen in forever, right? Since essentially Liberty Park. So as most of us know who oversee the park here and do regular rounds in the park, this park is being loved to death, right? So why we should care about this new park coming online, for the folks who are concerned about budget, because there's a lot of budget being dedicated to resources on the west side, is that we need to take the pressure off of like parks like Liberty that, right
And
now.
our
it's-
population's growing. so
Yeah,
much.
and it just, this, this has all the amenities that we're gonna love to see out there, but more importantly, there's gonna be wild space and open space, for people just to relax and enjoy, more green space.
Yeah,
So like, we will benefit from that coming online, so.
do you remember what was the name of the certification, the environmental certification? Do you remember what that was called that they kept talking
I
about?
can't remember what it's called, it's like the.
It was the equivalent. It was so LEED is of course for buildings, but they have a different one for parks. And so this park was gonna be the first one, I believe he said the first one in the state. Was that right? I think that was gonna be certified on that level for parks and that equivalent. So yeah,
It's great.
it's great.
And, just another thing, just to remind everybody else, since he brought this up, we are now engaged, ELPCO, I'm, as chair and part of this community action group that is working on the cultural analysis for Liberty Park, so projecting it out for the next, several decades to 100 years, is the plan. But if you see these signs that are still up, and you want to comment on improvements that you'd like to see, please go ahead and do that at any point until.
Right. So I put in the chat on there, shape.sc.gov, which is where you can get to the survey. It closes on the 26th, so there's 3 days left to take it. And then there's also the climate forward plan. The city's updating the climate plan and kind of building on what has been done in the city so far and improving on the city's short-term and long-term goals. And so the current stage of that is having the community provide their input on ways that the city can work to improve the climate in doing what the city can do from our reach. So it's called Climate Forward SLC. So you have there's 8 more days left on that survey. And So yeah, go to that website and take those surveys, and then aside from that, I don't have too many other major updates. I will note though, um, we do have the shelter winter shelter plans that came out from the county. They've been putting that out now, and it started October 15th that they started ramping up the beds for getting into the colder months. And then there's also code blue, which is when the temperature goes below 18 degrees. Oop, is it 18
Whoa.
degrees? 19 degrees, yeah.
Oh.
And the unsheltered Utah opens up the church, Methodist Church, to for Code Blue, and so they do need volunteers for that on sort of a rolling and on-call basis for when the temperature gets down there. So I'll just raise that as an opportunity. If would like to volunteer for Code Blue, you can search Code Blue Utah. I think it's Unsheltered Utah that's running it, and they have a sort of a volunteer page. I don't have the link to it right here, but once I can get it, but put it in the chat. But just wanted to share that, and then yeah, that's about it from my end. I know ACE applications for the Arts, Culture, and Events Fund for the mayor's office. Those applications close on at the end of this month. So for anyone hosting events in the city during the next year and want to get city funding, that would be your opportunity to do that.
And anybody can apply for those, it's open to anybody, regardless if it's like individuals or organizations, or, of course, we get ACE funding for the Ninth Street Festival. So, if you have a good idea, you want to make it happen, apply and see what happens. So, large or small. I forgot to say, sorry, I did mention that, that we have our detective back, but I forgot to mention that he did say that, car prowls are on the rise again, which does really happen when the temperatures start to dip. And 9th and 9th is showing to be a problem. So, make sure in the 9th and 9th area that we're letting our loved ones and residents and even businesses, if there's people out late at night, to not leave anything visible in their cars that might tempt. So. All right, thank you, Josh. Yeah, that was really great.
Yes.
Again, just want to make sure that everybody knows Joshua is our liaison to our community council, but we can also be in touch with him as individuals or businesses, directly, just by, utilizing his contact. And then if the community council can help bump up things because there's power in, consensus building and building coalitions and bringing folks together. We can talk about that further at these community meetings or in between.
We can also, if you choose to in the community council have more other people from our office to come and present about what they do for the city. We do have an ADA coordinator in the city who's recently started in the last couple of months. Her name is Angela Haylock, and she's really great. So she's also a wealth of knowledge. But yeah, if there's anyone, and of course Andrew Johnston is and works with homelessness. So any of them, they make themselves available to come to community councils. And so if you want to talk about any of those topics, I can ask them to come over to this meeting.
That's great, yeah. And, again, I'm going to highlight that we do have a board, but we rely on our constituents and, the people who build our neighborhoods, anybody in our neighborhoods to come with us and let us know what the topics are that are important to them. So, again, we have businesses in the room. We're so happy to see the businesses here. Thank you for coming. But, utilize us because otherwise we're just making it up on our own, right? Which brings us to our next thing. Again, thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. I would like to introduce Janet Wade. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself because she has a really interesting history. But first of all, I want to make sure that everyone puts the pieces together. Okay, so Helen, of course, is the owner of the Stockus, and way back in May, we had Helen come and speak because Helen, kind of took it upon herself with the help of Moki Kids and some other folks to try and revive what used to be a business district. Now, it's my understanding, I wasn't around at this point, but that's hard work, just like our board often feels like we work really hard and it's hard to get lots of people invested and interested. So at a certain point after the decade, they kind of threw in the towel. So we, committed as a organization to try and help them. But, our bylaws are set up, I don't remember, it was probably 5 years ago or something, that we have the 9th business liaison. But it has always been set up that that person is a resident that liaises between us and the businesses. And I went to this meeting that Helen hosted in her shop and listened to everybody talk and how great ideas they had, and how they're winging it essentially. But what it occurred to me from talking to Helen that it would be better to have a business representative liaise with them and then come and talk to us. And then we could negotiate how to solve problems or create events or do cool things together. So Helen came and spoke, but Janet is actually Helen's mom. So hard to see, right? Like, I just have to say very clearly that so far, all the projects we've done together, it's been so great to have Janet. I really have appreciated her for many different reasons, but one, her accent and the things that she can share with folks is just so lovely and inviting, and people really open up and talk to her, which is great. And then more importantly, yes, she's Helen's mom, but she's really interested in supporting all of the businesses and creating unity and bringing folks to the table. So that's my favorite part of Janet so far, but go ahead.
Thank you very
Tell
much.
us all about it.
So I actually am the silent partner with Helen in the stockists, but so I'm just honored to serve as liaison. Helen didn't think he had enough to do, so she asked, and I've heard from other people that they thought it was a good idea. So I'm really excited to serve in that role. So a little bit about me. I spent more than 30 years working with community organizations in different roles. My background includes time with the Utah Department of Health's Baby Watch Early Intervention Program, where I focused on community collaboration and program monitoring. Later, I served as Senior Director of Children's Services with Easter Seals Goodwill, overseeing early intervention, teen transition programs, and therapy services for young children. So along the way, I helped start organizations such as the Utah Association for Infant Mental Health, the Autism Council of Utah. I currently serve on the board of Able Differently, on the conference committee for the Utah Association for Infant Mental Health, and as secretary for the Legislative Coalition for People with Disabilities. So I'm also, that's where the business piece comes in, a graduate of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, which strengthened my passion for connecting businesses and community efforts together. I'm excited to bring that energy and collaboration to this role and to get to know everybody. So I don't live, to be honest, in this neighborhood, except Isla is now 14. Yeah, 14. So every weekend I looked after Isla from being a baby, and we would come down to Nice and Nice, and we'd walk up to the coffee garden and we'd get our treats, and then we'd come down to Tracy Aviary or some of the other parks. And so Salt Lake is kind of my family home in a way. I'm looking at 2 neighborhoods. And now actually I'm working for Utah State University as a coach to early childhood teachers to help them in classrooms to work with children with challenging behaviors. It's a federal grant, so it might not be going much longer. So just pray for me on that one. But anyway, Yeah, I know a lot of the businesses on Ninth and Nice, but not personally. So a lot of the business owners actually aren't in the store. I mean, Helen's not in the store all the time. So I am going to talk to Chad and I talk to Helen and maybe gonna have some little coffee groups, meetups rather than a big group, get three businesses together and we'll go have coffee and then I can really talk to them and so what I think I see as my role from talking to Christina is that I'll learn from the businesses what they need, I'll bring that to you, and then I'll also make sure the businesses know about the meetings and know about things that are going to happen, so they're not sideswiped by something all of a sudden, and so that they can be more involved. So that's my understanding of my role.
And I'm going to clarify that just a little bit. For instance, when we have a big zoning thing that comes through that's going to affect our parking, and it's going to affect the businesses like we just had. We believe that the city was interacting directly with the businesses. But after talking to Helen and some other folks, maybe that wasn't as strong of a connection being made as that we thought, right? So it didn't have a big effect in Ninth and Ninth, but it did affect other large parts of the city. So when ELPCO went to the table to discuss the land use and zoning around this big citywide change, it would have been really great to have Janet there to go out and talk to everybody and make sure that you at least knew about it and knew where to go and put a good word or a negative word or express your concerns. Again, we're not very concerned about this new zoning consolidation that happened because it has hardly any effect in our business districts. So, but you never know about the next one. So these meetings get a little boring. Zoning and things are very dry. We have a land use and transportation committee that meets the second Thursday of each month, right? And that's where we do all the in the weeds, really kind of boring discussion about how we want our neighborhood to look in those ways, right? So we'll be able to tell Janet about these things if it's pertinent to your small businesses. So without making you sit through long, boring meetings while you're trying to run your small business.
This meeting.
No, I'm just being really clear. I'm just being
Right.
honest, but land use, zoning and transportation issues are very dry. And, we're lucky to have new people that are excited about that part of it. And working together, we feel like we can do better work. We can be more efficient. And, if we want to take something up, then we have the businesses on our side. Because we will know what the businesses think. So that's one additional thing that gets brought to the table. So does anybody have any comments on that from our board?
You have any questions for me? Yes.
With all that experience that you have in disability advocacy, do you think Ninth and Ninth is accessible enough?
Not really. No. It's not openly accessible. Yeah.
Do you think there are certain accommodations that we could like seek out for the community as a whole, like automatic door openers, those kinds of things?
Little things like that make a big difference. Yeah, I mean, I've actually been incapacitated myself with, skiing accidents and stuff. And until you're on crutches and in a wheelchair, you have no idea how hard it is to get in and out of places, to make sure bathrooms are accessible. There are most built. I don't know. I haven't really looked hard at things with that lens, but I have a lot of people I can send to Ninth and Ninth and let me know. So.
That's great. That's just it.
But thank you for asking that question.
Does the city have somebody over that?
Yeah, actually, we just do. That's and for her, I think that'd be she'd love to hear about those concerns, because she is our, IDA coordinator for the city, and she's in the mayor's office. And she's sort of also a liaison, working with different.
Yeah, I just have to think though that the bike lane is nice, but it's a hazard. And especially if you're in a wheelchair and you're on crutches and a bike, it's, I mean, that's a little bit concerning. That piece of it.
Yeah, I
And
definitely
it's
get.
just being aware, and shop owners being aware that people can get in and go where they want to. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll meet with him.
Yeah, that'd be
What's
great.
his name?
Well, her name was Angela, actually.
Oh, yeah,
And,
that's right. I might know her. What's the last name?
Ayla,
H.
AYLOCK.
Jenna, we just lost the cities, like, we had a really great liaison for a long time and she just got a new job and left us, but, this
Mhm.
new person is brand new, so it'll be great to get in.
Mhm.
And, I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but the permitting process for a special event, the Night the Night Street Festival in particular, has a pretty hefty ADA requirements that we have to meet. So it'll be fun to just like figure out how to make some of those things happen all year long, given that this is one of your specialties.
And that stuff's not hard.
No,
I
it's.
mean, a lot of the facilities exist, we just don't all know about.
And sometimes it's just money, like, that
Or
we can-
prioritize, yeah.
budget.
Well, it's just thinking about it.
Right.
You're right, it's not hard, it's just being aware.
Great, go ahead.
Can I add a couple things from a business perspective, if now's the time for that?
Yeah, I mean, you can go ahead.
Okay.
We're just basically introducing her, but if you have some comments, go ahead.
Well,
sure.
I'm very excited to have Janet doing this job, first of all, and you're so extremely qualified. I didn't know you're just hiding your mom from me. But, just a little bit of an update of some things that we're working on as Ninth businesses. This is gonna be our third year doing our Ninth giving trees. Not sure if you're familiar with this, but we've partnered together, all the businesses in the neighborhood, to create kind of like an angel tree program. And we have partnered with Edison Elementary, which is a Title I school on the west side of Salt Lake, the last 3 years. And they give us the names and like the needs and the ages and sizes of students that are in need. And then we distribute ornaments to the stores that want to host like a tree. So that's kind of an exciting thing. I don't know if that's something you would share with like your community or how it works.
Yeah.
Well, sure, because the community's gonna buy the ornament that's gonna give the kid the pair of socks,
Yeah.
right?
We don't just hear about it too late,
Yeah.
right? And this is something that we talked about, is that one of the things that ELPCO struggles with is, I mean, it's me doing our social media and I'm so overwhelmed already. That if I don't hear about the good stuff, like in advance, then it's just basically too little too late. And I'm gonna give them another plug, they have done the spooky, the trick or treat for the kids for
Yeah.
decades. And it's just such a cool thing for the littles, because it happens during business hours when it's still light out. And we want to spread this stuff out as much as we can. It's just knowing about it sooner. And I think Janet will solve that problem immediately.
Yeah, we're figuring out some other things, kind of like a year-round programming almost for the neighborhood to collaborate with each other. And then, everything is centered around the community and like offering, an experience for the community or developing community. I personally am not super familiar with like city anything. So are there like funding opportunities from ELPCO for things like that? Or how does the funding work if we wanted to, like, let's say, amp up our Halloween trick or treating or?
There's not currently funding opportunities, right? Like there's ACE grants for like more community engagement type things.
We're applying
But
for that.
yeah, so that's something that you guys would apply for on your own, because
But that's not ELPCO, that's the state.
that's a state.
Yeah.
But the reality is that we used to have our neighborhood boost grant. People would never apply. you know, and things like this. So we can reinstate some of these things that are funding, or like we can do a fundraiser during the 9th and 9th Street Festival that goes directly to elevating the business district, things like that. I mean, essentially the world is our oyster as long as we're working together.
Right.
But we just don't have all the ideas on the table yet. So
So
there's
one
just-
thing that strikes me is that probably neither group has a PR person. And what if you had a PR person that worked with both of you?
Well, that's what Janet is for.
Is that gonna be part of
Yes,
the role?
it's
one of
and
my
if you
jobs
see-
as well.
I honestly, I feel like if you need information about the business district or the ninth, it's probably gonna come from Amanda or I.
Yeah. So
Or Sheridan.
it's just gonna
but,
be
yeah.
better communication. It's like, you know, the thing is that I mean, Ashley's really great too.
Mhm.
They do really good PR and do really cool things. We just don't know about it until, like I
It's
said, it's
happened.
just, yeah. So we have a very large newsletter, you know, we reach a lot of people. But often we just don't have very exciting things to put in there. You know, again, a lot of it's dry, boring, issues that don't rev up our
Does the
community.
newsletter go
Important
out?
things,
Yeah,
huh?
where is it?
When does it go out?
Well, we can put it out as often as we
I
want.
was just say, should we just say like email you or you like
Mhm.
the first of every month?
Yeah.
Of every of our events?
Yeah. Mhm. And again, these
So
are
then
kind of
it's
details
called
we
the
can
newsletter.
we can work out. You know.
What other ways do you contact businesses through, I mean, social media? You've
Yeah,
got-
social media and our right now, again, let's just talk about what we do right now, currently. We can do that newsletter up to twice a month. And then we have our social media that's available essentially always, as long as we have good things to share on it. You know, and our Facebook has quite a few followers, but these are all details that we can kind of work out going forward. But those are, I think that's what's on the table right now.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is we just barely built a website for the first time ever, ELPCO. And it takes some bandwidth to update that website. And we're working on getting somebody.
I like that, we have updaters like every day, so.
Yeah, so we don't have that bandwidth, but if we know the businesses are interested, then it's an impetus for us to try and figure out how to create that bandwidth. And when we actually had the website built, we left a part open so that we could add on a complete business directory if we ever get up and going, you know, so that there's like a 9th and 9th business directory potential on our website. So there is that, but that will be a little bit down the road to see how much we get going. All right,
Can I add one last thing?
yeah,
Another thing that I wanted to kind of put on your radar is we're exploring the idea of having Christmas lights, holiday lights hung.
Mhm.
Just the couple blocks, like 9th blocks.
I think that's
And
West Midpoint. What's the street next to Tap House?
Windsor.
It is West, I was like, that's a W street, so Windsor to Lincoln is what we looked at today.
so we would love if the city liaison has any insights into resources, or if you can investigate that for us.
For lighting, for Christmas lighting.
Yeah.
Because I know they do a lot of downtown and holiday lights. And that we think it could create like a fun tradition for the community to get out to see the lights.
Mhm. I'll find out, I'll look into it, I'm not super hopeful that it will be something that's perfect for that, because I know that the downtown district has you know, they have it's a special assessment area, and so they do have some additional funding for downtown for things like holiday lighting. And that's a conversation that's currently being had, of course, for the 9th South Corridor to have a special assessment area that, you know, things like that would come in with that, but you know, I'll see what insights they might have in the meantime, you know, before that is a possibility to see if there's anything else, but.
And your landlords, the people that own the properties along the 900 South corridors are the folks that are involved in those.
It would be the lamp posts, so it wouldn't be on the
Yeah,
private
on the
property, it'd be on the
buildings,
city
like,
property.
Yeah, I just meant that those folks, it's the landlords and the property owners that are involved in the small area assessment conversations.
Oh,
So if you guys haven't heard about that yet,
Yeah.
they wouldn't necessarily be talking to you. They'd be talking to the people that own the business property. So essentially your
good to know.
landlords. But this could be something that, we try to do outside of that.
Mhm.
And there's also something to keep in mind that government kind of moves slowly. So there's just a lot of options to explore, and I look forward to doing that, with you. And I know our team will be excited about like hearing these ideas. Cause there's always fundraisers, like fundraisers are something that just we don't do enough of, I think. So. Does anybody on the board, anybody else have any more questions?
Want to say, I know being a small business owner is really hard, and you're, like you said, you're updating your website every day. And just thank you for caring about the neighborhood, and thank you for caring about the community, and I feel like it makes a difference, and so just appreciate that investment that you've made.
I always feel we people who go to nights and nights, and I have some friends down south that come to nights and know how wonderful it is.
Yes.
But I always worry that it's not as touted by the city as much as other areas. So I think, what's it called, Welcome Salt Lake or something? Sometimes not in their brochures, and some of the other papers that the city puts out, it's not there. So I think we need to kind of look at that too. About how the city can be more supportive in getting the word out about this wonderful neighborhood that we've got.
And I just have to say, it's already been a pleasure to work with you, so I'm just excited for more of the same, and it's great. So, okay, so we're gonna move on if that's okay.
I'm afraid I'm gonna have to take off.
Okay, great.
But
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you all.
Thanks for coming.
Have a good
Thanks
evening.
for coming, Josh.
Let me know if there's anything else.
Okay. I'll be in
It was
touch
nice to meet you.
about the next thing.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I do want to, I want to stay on track, but I do want to let you know that one thing that did come up was really great is I got together with some folks from First Step House to, work with some of their folks on getting them involved in the community. And one of the first things that we want to try and do together is some landscaping improvements to the 9th and 9th area. That, like, I've been kind of whittling it down myself a little, we've all kind of chipped in on that. But these guys, they want to work with us. They're excited about informal. It's something that ELPCO can lead, these kind of community pickups. But then additionally, Jenna and I and the people from curriculum, Dan and Chad, we've been thinking about instigating just a regular meeting for the community to be able to attend. And we know that it's hard for all the small businesses to actually come to maybe a quarterly meeting, but at least we can do it. And it can be part, hey, what do we want to talk about in terms of the larger neighborhood ecology, and then also what did the business want to talk about? So we haven't really hit the details of this home, but these are kind of things that we're exploring right now. And I just wanted to put those out there.
One of the things explored after the Salt Lake Film Society, when we talked about the tower, the folks at Cahoots and Coffee Garden, they have planters outside their businesses, and the owner of Cahoots said they'd be happy to put planters outside the tower and that they look after them. And then I talked to Chad and Helen and Tori about possibilities of a vendor pop-up, maybe with the season, it's a bit late for pumpkins now, but so I said to Tori I'd give her a list and she could choose which went in with the kind of vibe of the tower. So Chad and Helen are gonna get me a list, because they know a lot of
And
vendors.
there's a lot of people too.
Both, and yeah.
And we talked to Rachel about potentially like
Yeah,
having
that's
a,
all decides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
having some music. So like I said, the world is kind of our oyster.
Yeah.
You know, we're hitting it from different sides, which feels good. Like it feels like there's some synergy. All right, so going on to the next thing, we have a ELPCO resident, East Liberty Park resident online. His name is Justin Sadler. And he reached out to us regarding some issues we're having in the new, up and coming business district along 1100 East. Justin, can you unmute yourself and go ahead and tell us everything you want us to know? And tell us a little bit about yourself and.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you so much. Yeah, first I just want to, I feel bad. I've really enjoyed the meeting so far. There's been a lot of positivity, a lot of things to look forward to, and I feel like I'm going to be kind of the downer here, so I kind of feel bad about that. But
Okay.
yeah, I just want to thank everybody for participating. You know, the civic officials, neighbors, and of course, like all of the ELPCO members that just do such thankless work and work so hard behind the scenes. And no, I just appreciate this opportunity. Yeah, my name's Justin Sadler. I am a longtime resident of the area. I'm a product of Hawthorne Elementary. I'm going to date myself, but the original Hawthorne, the old Hawthorne that was torn down, not this newer one, Hillside and Highland. And currently, I'm a homeowner here in the Gilmer Park area on 11th East. Yeah, I reached out to Christine about the kind of the ongoing safety and access problems, in particular related to parking on 11th East since the completion of the Highland Drive 11th East reconstruction project. Just a couple of, I'll run through this pretty quickly, but some of the objectives of that was to improve mobility, safety, accessibility, things like that. But as it sometimes happens with these major projects, once the work is completed and the equipment leaves, kind of the fallout is left to the residents to deal with. And some of the fallout for this area has been making this area less safe, less accessible, and a lot more chaotic for residents. Part of the problem, and I was kind of hoping, is Salt Lake Police Department's not here tonight, right? They're not. Okay. Yeah, they're primarily parking related violations. We've had issues with driveway blockages with the new bike lanes that they just installed, blockages there. We've had people parking too close to the crosswalks, including some of the lights that they've installed over here. A lot of no parking violations. I don't know if they're even complete, if they finished putting up all of the no parking signs. It seems like the signage is still a little bit sparse. I've had people parking in my driveway to use local businesses. We've had sidewalk obstructions. So just a lot of problems with that. In particular, there's two main issues. One is, and I think it's great that we have a business liaison. Maybe this is something that'll fall in kind of there under your purvey. But one is the businesses, and two is, there's kind of, whenever you do a major reconstruction, there's kind of a retraining period where people have to sort of get used to the new rules, especially when they're visitors to the neighborhood that are coming to use the businesses. And then they just kind of pop in, they park wherever, and then take off, and they don't really think about it. There's kind of a retraining. The two major issues is these businesses, in particular in the area that I'm talking about, not quite as far down as like where Hub and Spoke, and I know they have their own issues there. It's a few smaller businesses that are just kind of mixed in between the residences. And there is kind of, and this is kind of important, there's kind of an attitude from the businesses of like, oh, well, it's not my problem. I can't tell my customers where to park. And, if they're parking there, that's really not my problem. Obviously that's problematic regardless of the legality of it. But the other issue is with compliance itself. So I've kind of been working on this on my own for some time. And I reported these issues initially to compliance and said, oh, well, go and take pictures and send it in. You can use the app, you can use online, you can call us, which I've done. But the compliance response has been broken. On one occasion, this was just last week, during and I don't have time to sit and document and call in every single violation, but during one 24-hour period, I made 10 separate calls, 10 separate violations to compliance. Only one ticket that I'm aware of was issued. On that same day, on one occasion, the first time that a compliance officer came out about 2.5 hours later, they briefly walked by three different vehicles, one parked in front of a stop sign, one in front of my driveway, and one in a no parking zone. They walked by them for about 5 minutes, didn't take any documentation, didn't leave any tickets, got in his car and left. Just absolutely no response. Later on in the day, there was another violation that was parked obstructing one of the bike lanes, which causes the bicyclist to have to swerve out into traffic, and somebody's going to get killed over there or injured. But he came out, he ticketed the car, and then went and sat in his car. The car that he ticketed left, and as he was sitting in his car, marked compliance right in front of the violator. Somebody pulled in right behind him and parked their car right in front of the no parking sign. And so there's just kind of this, I mean, I don't know how much you can plead ignorance to it, but there's just kind of this like, well, if there's an open place, I'm just going to park there and it's okay because people aren't worried about getting ticketed. Just as a resident, it's not only problematic because of the access and the safety and issues, as well as, cyclists and things like that. But it seems like the city and compliance is kind of shifting the burden onto us. And this is where my frustration kind of comes from, is it sounds easy to be like, oh, well, just go out and take pictures. But when I'm leaving my house and going out front and taking pictures and somebody comes out from the business, that is just rife with conflict and potential for escalation and conflict. And I've been called all number of names and told to get a life and all kinds of things just for photographing it so that I can document it. And I mean, frankly, there's a reason that compliance officers and law enforcement, they don't share their home addresses with violators. And, it's kind of frustrating as a resident that it's like, oh, well, this is the process. And then you follow the process. And I mean, I've got kids at home. I don't need people, I don't need to expose myself to that retaliation. And that's kind of disconcerting. My ask is kind of, I'd like some targeted enforcement. Like I said, the project isn't over when the equipment leaves or when the road's finished. We need to kind of retrain people. The response time has been abysmal by compliance. I know they're busy. I know that they can't get to every vehicle, but they certainly can't be ignoring. They shouldn't be ignoring, legitimate violations. And I do think response times could maybe be better. Maybe, prioritize that 11th East corridor, at least for the time being. I've also reached out to engineering. I've requested red paint on the curbs. I've requested edge lines like they have for your parking meters downtown to denote where the spaces are. There's incomplete bike lanes where there's no paint. There's just gaps. People don't know that they're parked in a bike lane because the paint is incomplete there. And those were all of those requests were just categorically denied. I cannot place any signage of my own. Permanent signage is not allowed. So they said that, well, your next best bet is to place something on my property, which is going to put it, 8 feet back from the road. Nobody's going to pay attention to a do not block driveway sign.
Right.
They're paid attention to the posted no parking signs. But
Justin,
yeah,
I'm going to cut you off for a second, Kay, because just so you know, I'm gonna, we just have to keep on time, but I'm gonna, let the crew here know what you and I have talked about. So, this is kind of standard situation that happens all across Salt Lake City, right? And we've let Justin know that he's gone through all the processes, like he's done everything, and likely there just isn't going to be a response. And unfortunately, a lot of that has to do with budget concerns, but again, the city has a lot of ordinances that it doesn't enforce. And, I have shared my heartfelt, like, I'm really sorry, this is really hard. And it is really frustrating. So, we did have a little conversation about potentially solutions, and how we can work towards solutions in the background. That I'm gonna focus on for the group. And, we're gonna, again, it's all about sort of coalition building and squeaky wheel, as I mentioned to you. It is hard to be squeaky wheel. It does take time, but it's how our city works, unfortunately. But in your neighborhood, we have Jeanette. Jeanette, you want to raise your hand? She's your neighbor
I'm the only one here.
that I told you about. And then we also have an at-large position, David Jones, that lives just like right across the street from where you're at. And we're going to get these two working on sort of going through that process of standardizing the complaint, which will start with a walkthrough from our partners in transportation to sort of identify any low-hanging fruit. So, as I expressed to you, Justin, the first step is that a neighbor reaches out to us, and then we bring whatever tools we can to the table. It's going to be a process, but because that is a developing business district, getting in on the ground floor and having you put together this amazing email that he put together, just with detail after detail after detail, is a huge start. And I can't thank you enough for taking that time to communicate that. So I know that you probably have all sorts of atrocities that you want to share. And the next step is we'll do that more, and we'll like whittle those down to who we talk to get those things solved. So does that sound good to you, Justin? Or do you have any other like more specific things that you would like to bring up as far as where you would like to start, or is this a good starting spot?
I mean, I just about covered everything. In fact, the only thing that I didn't really get to was zoning, but I don't think we have anybody from zoning here anyway. But just, ensuring that businesses are in fact being accountable for their zoning and their parking restrictions, off-street parking compliance. That's the only other item that I would have on there.
Yeah, and that, like I said, those things happen better, not at meetings. But at the next meeting, we can invite those individuals to this meeting and run those by them on the public record. If that sounds like if that sounds good to everyone.
I think that's good.
So we didn't invite them here tonight, just because, they would be blindsided, but at the next meeting, we can have those people here to help us improve that business district as it's getting off. And you and I and those two board members that I just told you about will have communications on exactly who we should have and the questions that we should ask them when they come to our meeting in January. But in the meantime, we will be communicating with those folks offline in the background, starting, as soon as we can get our little group of folks together. Does that work?
I hope so. We'll find out, I guess, right?
Oh, I meant more the plan. Does the plan work for
Yeah,
you?
yeah, sure. I mean, this
Okay.
is my first introduction to whatever the process might be. So yeah, whatever steps need to be taken, sure.
The process is you beat your head against the wall until things get fixed. So, welcome to the
I've done
team.
that one already.
Yeah, so that's it. That's what we do until we get the problem solved. So, it's a team effort, and I'm glad that you took the time to come and meet with us. Does anybody online have any questions? Jeff, Marshall, I see you there. Anything you want to add? Okay, it looks like we're going to move on from that. And again, look for a response to your email and we'll be in touch. Thank you for coming tonight.
Does this go through my SLC?
You
What?
can make a parking violation through my SLC.
Oh, he has done
I'm sure
it.
he's
Like,
done
I mean,
probably a lot.
to be clear, it's kind of like what we have faced in West of East. We've had similar issues in the 9th and 9th Business District. Like, he has done everything worldly possible, and it just hasn't become a priority yet. So he's coming to us for assistance to make it a priority.
Well, and
right?
maybe, I mean, I've had experience with my SLC where, when I come out of Harrison and I turn left on 9th, there's these huge pampas grass things,
Mhm.
and I can't see if there's a car coming.
Right.
Mhm.
And
And
one of
that's-
these days, somebody's gonna get creamed. My friends say,
Mhm.
what's with all these bushes? And 3 years in a row, they finally cut the pampas grass down.
Mhm.
And so I'm just wondering if we have become the squeaky wheel.
That, exactly.
And we just keep calling, and each of us keeps a list of some sort,
Mhm.
and maybe the mayor needs to put a couple more positions into that office.
Well, and that's exactly what we're committing to Justin,
Yeah.
because like the night, he's bringing up a really good thing that's affecting his very clear, residents and his effects on his immediate neighbors. But the reason why it's such an important thing, and it's so great that he brought it up, is that if we can solve these problems for him, we can solve a lot of similar problems for a lot more folks. So basically, Justin has come to the table sort of leading out. And I don't have his emails in front of us, but they are so detailed and so helpful, to us solving the problems.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and again, this will share in our board meetings and our small
Yeah, I think it's
community
great.
meetings to figure out how we're gonna try and help him as best as we can. And again, of course, it's the reason why we have our geographical area models, is because we have people in that neighborhood who are his neighbors to jump in. And, like, I have my own problems up there living right behind East. I'm not as aware of the problems there. But I can guarantee that his neighbors are. Right? Like,
Many times.
right, so.
Christina, as part of the process of,
Mhm.
going through this with Justin, do we get insight into what actually happens in the city when these complaints come in?
We do, right? It's really helpful. Just like we go through it point by point by point. And the one thing that, as a new board member, once you're elected this evening, the thing that you'll realize about me in particular is I am a pit bull, but I also spend a lot of time, what do you call me? A policy wonk? Right? I spend a lot of time in the weeds, like really going after the subtle little changes that are gonna have large effects. So,
Exactly, yeah, it seems like
and-
there's like a repeatable mechanism that can
Lots
be
of-
improved,
right.
and then it helps
Right.
everybody.
Yeah,
So that's like the one thing I have to contribute, and I love contributing that sort of,
yeah, I've had them say, repeat call, and they just say,
mhm.
it's solved.
Yeah.
It's not solved, they didn't do
Yeah.
anything.
Well, my background, of course, as you know, I'm a behavioral economist, and these kind of game theory problems, multifactorial issues are sort of like what makes me happy to solve. So working together with all of the advocates in the room, it's why ELPCO has so much success, in my opinion, problem solving, is that like, we don't just make complaints and expect people to solve the problems. We don't expect to like be the white entitled, folks on the east side. We get in there, roll up our arms and work with the city to solve the problems. And it works for us. And we're really excited when people like Justin. I mean, I can't thank him enough for being so prepared and already committed to the process. And he's been documenting everything. He's an incredible writer. He puts together really great arguments. So he's already done a large part of the heavy lifting for our team and, for the city. So, we just need more Justins in the world. No matter how frustrated, and you can just hear him, how frustrated and upset he is, he's still looking towards solution-based conversations. So again, Justin, I don't know if you're still there. I can see you, but thanks. Okay, we got a lot to cover because it's CIP is happening in the city. And for the folks that don't know about CIP, it's a great introduction that he just gave us. But the capital improvement projects program is a constituent-based ask for projects that cost more than $50,000, right? So some of the things that Justin is also talking about could fall into these kind of programs. We're talking about incomplete painting. We're probably like talking about curb marking. We're talking about things that will really improve this, this zone right here is it's the RB zone, which is the resident business zone, which is different than the 9th and 9th business district. right? So it's a very unique area for the city. And, we have some experience with this. So the CIP project is, the application was due a couple months ago, but they have until December to finish their applications. And one of the things that they have to do, or, that really strengthens their applications, is that they come to the community council, they tell us all about it. We decide if we're going to support it with a letter. And again, we do whatever we can to meet the needs of our community and especially support the folks who are willing to take on the process of getting involved in the CIP program, or, it's a pretty hefty lift for the community. So online right now, we have a couple of different persons, but I'm gonna start with Sonia. I'm gonna let her introduce herself, where she lives, and introduce us to the CIP project that she's spearheading. So thank you for coming and thank you for being patient. I'm happy to see your face. Gonna have to unmute.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yeah, so I live on Bryan Avenue between 11th and 13th East. And I've submitted a CIP application for improving the street crossings for the McClellan Trail. And if I could share my screen, I'll
You
show.
should be able to.
Do I just click the share button? Is that how you do that?
Yeah.
Or do you guys do that?
You do it.
Do it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I've never done this before. All right,
Okay.
I'll just show you. I don't know, can you, oh, here, I click share. Okay, I got it. Can you see that? Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, the section of the McClellan Trail that I'm talking about is here. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not.
And
Yeah.
You can, awesome. Okay. Between Harrison and then over to Bryan. So the off-road section. And I've lived here for 21 years. You can see where I live. There's my house location. I'm well aware of the improvement that was done here. I remember when it was just an alleyed, potholed way.
We all do.
Yeah, right. So the trail, it's incredible that it's been improved and it's heavily used by people in the neighborhood now. And it's actually become kind of like a meeting place for people and just people walk their dogs on it. It's great that the city has done this. What we got going on though is, as you probably already know, there's steep hills that are along right above the McClellan Trail along here. And it gets a lot less steep. In fact, they're so steep, so a couple of them, I think Harrison and Browning are the steepest ones, that my daughter, when we drive on 13th East, she likes to look out the window to try to look at them, and she calls them cliff hills.
Yeah.
So yeah, what happens is cars, are going fast because they're going downhill and they kind of shoot across the McClellan Trail. So that's the idea, is to slow traffic down for these crossings. And then I wanted to zoom in just a little bit here. So right here is Emerson Elementary. And kids take this trail to go home from school because it's a nice walking route. So I just wanted to point out the location of Emerson there. So yeah, cars are going kind of fast through here, and I'm gonna switch. I don't if I can just switch to a different part of my screen. Can you guys see the picture there?
No,
No.
maybe right there, Pat. Is it a tab?
No,
Where's your picture at? Is it on because you'll have to close this down if it's on
maybe
your desktop.
stop sharing and then try to share to the different
Yeah.
thing, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe that'll work. There, do you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so this is one of the crossings. I forget which street this is, but as you can see, someone's added a slow down guy here. There's these islands, which are nice because they do improve visibility of pedestrians going across the crossings. So some ideas. I talked to Keegan Gallero at the city DOT about these crossings, and we kind of just like we're putting our heads together and thinking of things that might work. I mean, obviously, like I think like a speed bump right here between these islands would be great. Something to physically slow down the cars. That's probably going to be the most effective solution. Another thing we thought of, I mean, he mentioned raising the whole crosswalk. I would hate to destroy the, beautiful work that's already been done there. But I mean, obviously the city's going to decide what they want to do, if they're going to do anything. And then another thing that we thought of was putting the rectangular, they're called rapid rectangular flashing beacons, I believe, on these islands. And they would be a lot more visible because they're, out into the street. And I've got a picture of this is what they look like. This is
Yeah,
right by the elementary school. You
that's
push
pretty
the
cool.
button and it had just like a flashing light kind of thing. So we thought that would be, especially because they're already going to be out on these islands, it'd be pretty effective to have those. So just something to improve safety, because the cars just shoot through here. They're coming down the hill and they, obviously not everyone, lots of people do slow down and having the colors be different, the crossing signs obviously helps tremendously, but some cars still just shoot through.
So what about the kid that gets off school, and he's got his skateboard in his backpack, and he gets on it and he goes down at 50 miles an hour, back and forth and back and forth. Do the cars have any, what do the cars do to not get hit by the kid or not hit the kid? That drives me crazy. I seem to run into the same kid all the time.
The kids coming down the steep streets or the
Oh,
kids
yeah.
on the Berlin
Oh, it's
Trail?
great fun.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them. Those guys are fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, Sonia, thank you very much.
couple more.
I do have
I
a
just show
question.
you a couple more pictures. It'll only take a minute. Here's
Just
nice
one
section of
question though, before you show the rest of them, just so that the team here will know, and have it in their mind while you're presenting the rest of your images. So,
Sure.
have you already met with the city, transportation folks that have been assigned to your project?
For the CIP?
Yeah, so they,
No,
the next step is.
no one has contacted me from the
Okay,
city.
great. Okay, great. All right, so go ahead and keep going then. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, just a couple more. These mulberry trees, you can see here all the mulberries on there. There's a couple that make a big mess. So what we did actually this summer was we hung up a net across this section
Oh, great.
to catch the mulberries, and then we just periodically go down and empty it. Then you can see all the chalk work that's been done by kids. It's a wonderful area for people just come down here and hang out and drink beers and it's to become like a little neighborhood hangout place.
Oh, I love it.
These are some kids going home from Emerson on the trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've talked to a few of my neighbors, and there's tremendous support for improving these crossings safety. That's just a lot. Everyone I've talked to has been in support of it. There's no one that's been against it. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'm all done. I'll stop.
Fabulous.
sharing.
I have one more question. So we know
Yeah.
that they haven't contacted you yet, but that is the next step, is you will hear from the city. And they'll assign you someone from transportation to help you, sort of, they help you form the budget and the timeline, and they coordinate, what they think is gonna be the best, fix for your situation. So, make sure that if you haven't heard from them, that you get, you do contact them. And, that would be Rachel with the CIP.
Okay.
You and I have already talked to her together, so.
When,
Just make,
when should I contact her if I haven't heard from anyone? Like what sort of timeline?
again, I would do it, probably the first of next month. Just to make sure that
Okay.
they are, they have you squarely in their sights. I
Okay.
did hear from Rachel recently, and she said they were just a little bit behind. They had a lot of applications. So we'll be patient with them on that. But,
Sure.
and you're also welcome to make us media collaborator, that the ELPCO SLC at Gmail, a collaborator on your project. So that folks in your neighborhood, like Jeff, who just came online. Jeff is our vice chair, Jeff Larson. Say hi. He is in your neighborhood there, and he will be really instrumental in helping with more of the specifics again.
Okay.
So, okay.
If I can just ask one or two quick questions, by the way, I've been online, Christina. I just turned my camera on. So, anyway, Sonia, which street do you live on?
I'm on Brian.
Okay, great. I live
Yeah.
on Browning, by the way, just in
Okay.
that same section of the McClellan Trail. How long have you been on Bryan?
For like 21 years.
Oh, okay. So you saw before the
Oh yeah.
uh,
I used to avoid riding my bike there because of all the potholes. Yeah, now it's a great place to go.
yeah, and obviously the CIP project that put in those bump outs and crosswalks that are currently there versus like basically there was nothing there. The first step was the McClellan Trail and paving that, and then adding later on that was a city project, and then the CIP project that added the bump outs and the brick paving across the trails, across the
Yeah,
streets.
those help.
And so, yeah, there's obviously been progress, but and I agree that it's helped a lot, but there's room to improve. Still continuing going forward. I just wanted to actually invite you to the on Browning. They do a block party
Halloween.
on Halloween.
Yes, I've heard of
Actually,
that. I have a friend that lives on Browning, Martha
right.
Hayden. Yeah.
Yeah. And the person who runs the block party actually is the one who did the CIP that got all the traffic calming measures put along all the streets. And so she might be a great resource for you. If you want to
Sounds
come
like
by,
your new best friend.
if you want to
Yeah.
come by Browning on Halloween,
Good.
between like 4 and 6 sometime. And you're interested.
Okay. Yeah, I had asked, was it Rachel, the CIP person, if there had been a previous CIP, and she told me that the city had done it themselves, like there
No.
wasn't a resident. So, okay,
No, that's
she's wrong.
the city did McClellan Trail. They paved
Yeah.
that portion and cleaned up McClellan Trail. They cleaned up the potholes and made the trail portions between the streets. The city
Mhm.
did that, but the traffic calming measures and the brick paving through the
Yeah.
streets, that was a CIP project.
And what's her name? Do you know?
JoJo Liu.
Jojo. That's
Jojo.
right.
She started it. I know she had to it became kind of a group led effort. JoJo could tell you more about she definitely had a lot of other collaborators, and she got the ball rolling, and then other people kind of stepped up and definitely helped carry that flag to get it to the finish line. And it was a long process. And I don't know if you got involved at any point, because obviously Brian got some of the traffic
No,
along there.
that I actually, So I haven't actually lived here for 21 years. I've owned a property here for 21 years. I lived here for 10 years. I moved to Alaska, was gone for 8 years. So I think that's when the McClellan Trail got paved actually and everything, probably that CIP went through when I was gone in Alaska. Cause I just, it's been a couple years now that I've been back. So yeah, I missed that part of it, but I knew that the city was thinking about paving them, make that, improving that part, making the, just even simply making the McClellan Trail right before I left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think,
I'll
I think
come
that
to the
happened in about
party and look for her.
2018. The McClellan Trail part was like 2018. And
Yeah.
then the traffic calming and the crosswalks across the streets, that was in like 2022. So there was a gap and kind of it's been done in stages. So
Yeah.
and it was this, just for reference to, the CIP was initially approved in, I think it was 2023. I think the CIP got approved in 2020, and it took them 3 years to actually get to the
Okay.
finish line.
Yeah.
So anyway,
And that's
just an idea.
That's a good point that Jeff makes up, is that CIP is very competitive because a lot of people have needs, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
across the city, it's a
Yeah.
citywide program,
I
but you don't want to
imagine
give
there's a
it.
tremendous, amount of, and I realize it fully that nothing may happen at all.
Yeah. But you don't want to give up. You just want to do it year after year. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Does anybody have
kids are
any-
walking on this trail to go home from elementary school. I mean, I have kids in elementary school there, and so do my neighbors. I think that's why we feel so strongly about it. But
That's great.
yeah.
All right, so the next steps are that, we get together and that we write you a letter. That's the next obvious thing that you have to attach to your application before the December 31st deadline, and then basically we just kind of walk you through the process. There's a lot of dates and a lot of public appearances that you'll need to make to present your projects before the city council and stuff like that. And we'll get back with you in order to make sure that you're aware of all of that.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Does anybody else have any specific questions for Sonia before we move on? All right, well, again, our heartfelt thanks for, taking good care of your neighbors there and putting the effort in to improve East Liberty Park. Sonia, I'm excited to work more with you. All right, so we have two more CIP program projects that have come before ELPCO. The first one is that alley repave for 195, which is the one that's right behind my house, the Terror Alley. That's actually number 1 on the list from the city to be repaired. But of course, there's no budget for taking care of alleys in Salt Lake City. That guy is my immediate neighbor. My home is not affected by the alley because I live at the top. But they are just going to continue to put through this CIP application until hopefully it someday does get taken care of. The person who put that forth again is Demian Hanks, and he didn't come tonight, but they did do a lot more neighborhood soliciting, to get support, and they, every year they just add more and more support. So I will give that information out to our board members as that comes in, and then we will likely be agreeing to provide them a letter of support through email, if that's okay with everyone. Does anybody have any objections to that process?
No.
Okay, great. So then the other one is the revival of the median trees on 7th East that would extend between 13 South and 17 South. We listened to them present a few years ago. They're working pretty closely with the Liberty Wells group. So we're kind of tag teaming on that. But we have heard from the city that median trees are very, very difficult because especially on 700 East where there is we don't own the street. The city doesn't own the street. It's a UDOT street. So you have to stop traffic in order to prune and take care of those trees in that area. So that one is a long shot, but we will continue to work with that applicant regardless. We met his daughter. Do you guys remember that when they came and talked to us? So then the last one is ELPCO board member Andrew, who is actually no longer an ELPCO board member, but he he and I have been talking a lot about the trash cans in Ninth and Ninth. You know, we've been struggling so hard to keep the trash up. And the city has told us that the way that we need to handle it is just to turn the folks over who are creating the most trash without putting out receptacles to the civil compliance folks, because there's, you know, essentially, according to the city mayor's office, that there's no reason for folks to not just put trash cans out to accumulate their own trash. Also, the trash cans have been part of, you know, a small area assessment plan that, like, if people pay taxes in that area, then that could go to city budgeting city trash cans. And
Can't they
then
just request another can?
no, so now that, yeah, so this is the issue, is no, they can't, but hold on one second, before I leave my train of thought, sorry, it's
That's
getting,
okay.
it's getting late and I'm getting tired. But, the other way of tackling this again is what we did before, where we had the trash cans out there and the people in the four corners committed to emptying those trashes. But when those folks no longer wanted to do that, the city called me and asked me to empty the trash, which I did for a little while, but like that was not okay. Like I can't be the trash collector for the Ninth and Ninth area. So those trash cans were ultimately removed, and Judy, to answer your question, there has not been budget in order to do the ongoing maintenance, you know, past the first build out of the Ninth and Ninth area. Also a problem that we see citywide, that there's money to build things new, but what
not
is it being
maintained.
budgeted is maintenance. We're just deferring maintenance for potentially other ways. So long story short is the trash in Ninth and Ninth is an issue. Andrew put together a last minute CIP to sort of maybe see if we could hit it from that area. If we did a constituent based ask from the city, you know, ELPCO in collaboration with some constituents on behalf of the Ninth and Ninth Business District. That's another angle we're taking. In your community, I know there has been some discussion that, you know, that was gonna be a quick thing, that your trash cans were gonna be replaced, you know, right away. And, you know, as I've said many times, I think those of us that work a lot in policy are telling you it's not gonna happen very quickly. It's gonna take some time.
Can
So
I
we're
ask what kind of trash is it? Is it from
mostly the
people?
businesses.
Or the
Well, it's
business
the
trash?
customers.
The customers.
Not the business,
Yeah, not the businesses, it's the customers.
customers.
I
So-
mean, like,
One thing you could do, is retrain customers by putting signs up, by saying, you know, this is a clean zone, please take your trash home. That's what they do in other countries.
yeah,
There's no trash cans in a lot of places in England. And there's just signs and people know they take their trash home, but they won't know unless you tell them, right? So if you put a sign up.
but unfortunately.
It's like
But-
teenagers.
But yeah,
Yeah.
and again,
It's like
that's
ice cream cups, coffee
yeah,
cups, it's like.
it's, and the, you know, the teacups, you know, the big tea for
Yeah.
that. And so thank you, Janet. That's like a potentially really great idea. And that could be a fifth angle. You know,
Yeah,
it might
just
take
an
us
angle.
utilizing all these different angles in order to make it happen. So I want, you know, Andrew couldn't be here tonight, so I'm sort of pseudo presenting that on his behalf. And go ahead.
I just want to clarify, so when you mentioned this problem to the city, they said that we should call and compliance on the businesses that are creating the trash, even though it's their customers.
Yeah.
Well, the reality is, like, I don't know how thought out this is, but yes, this is what, so, okay, no. Just to be clear, it's not like, hey, so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. That's not how it does. What you do is you call the city and you say, hey, there's trash all over, right? And then they look at their laws and they try to understand if there's an avenue through compliance to address the issue. So if it is businesses being negligent, then yes, that would be it. But I don't know that that's the issue, right? Like
We all have dumpsters.
I haven't looked into it, yeah. But the fact is that some of the biggest trash creators, the businesses that are the biggest trash creators, don't have receptacles just like on their own property for folks to throw trash in.
They usually do inside, but
Mhm.
not outside is
Yeah.
the issue. And I have a lot of ice cream neighbors.
Mhm.
And I've asked them about if they would put a trash can out, and they basically said no, because then other people will put their trash in there.
Oh,
But you can
God.
see how that potentially is a compliance issue. And again, I haven't looked into this deep enough and I haven't read those ordinances. But potentially, if you are, it's essentially boils down to being a nuisance, right? If you are creating a nuisance for your neighbors by not like, following whatever ordinance, then that is the avenue that the city has told us that we should explore.
I'm just not really sure that they're required to have trash cans outside.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
they're not.
haven't looked at it
Well,
either.
again, it's goodwill, isn't it? If you want that neighborhood to stay looking really nice, regardless
Everybody's
of who
gotta
puts
take-
the trash in,
Yeah.
let's put trash cans out.
And there were trash cans there.
Well, and again,
but
those
they
trash
put the trash
cans
cans
were
in
being
open
maintained by
Exactly.
four
Business owners.
businesses.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the issue they had, is that, there was 4 business owners that were paying staff to basically empty the trash for everyone in Ninth and Ninth, and they finally just said, no.
Yep.
Cut, right? In the same way that I said, no, cut.
Yep.
Right, like I'll do it for a little bit, but there has to be a plan in place.
Yes.
And we don't have a plan, so we're gonna hit it with every single potential angle that we can. Now, I have a question for you, Amanda, right? Would a compliance officer visiting one of your, you said ice cream shops, I can't really think of who is right around you right now, but, and letting them know that they are required to provide containers for their, if this was the case, if the ordinance read that way, would you support them, putting trash cans outside of their space?
If the law, like the zoning law for like a food business is you had to have a trash can outside, which I don't think that it is a requirement, then
And I don't
yeah,
think so.
but I wouldn't want, the reason why they don't wanna put it outside, I understand the same reason that you mentioned
Mhm.
why they went away is that they are doing all of the work, and isn't that like an economic game theory thing, like, some people, instead of like a bunch of people all contributing and having a trash can, so it's a manageable amount of trash for all the employees.
Mhm.
Now we're at a point where nobody has a trash can because they don't want to be the ones to do
Right.
the hard work.
And yes, it is a game theory problem. Yes, it absolutely is.
So,
Mhm.
I mean, I think whatever ends up with us not having trash on our street is what I'm in
Happy
favor of.
That's exactly how I feel. Like whatever ends up that like we're all, it's a collective action problem, and we have Janet to help us solve this. But the CUP is a different tool, right? It's a separate tool.
So
So I
the
don't want to
CUP is asking for the city to
To-
put trash cans out. for
to
the business,
fund the
To
trash.
fund the
Yeah.
trash can
Uh-huh.
and the emptying of the trash cans.
That
I mean,
isn't
putting
necessarily
trash
a
cans
part
out
of
is
it,
one
but.
thing,
Yeah.
emptying is the
Yeah.
other,
Yeah.
right?
And again, I'll be able to give more details on that. I can't give you the exact details right now because I haven't read it thoroughly. I just wanted to introduce it tonight, so that we have done our due diligence. So we can talk more about this CIP at a different day.
But it's due, when is it due?
It's
The
been turned
CIP
in.
has already been turned in
Isn't it?
and they don't need their letter of support. It hasn't been assigned, because they're a little bit
So
behind.
once it's assigned, then they work.
Then we
on the
will,
issue.
we will look at it more closely as a community. Does that work for everyone? Okay, great. So we're running short on time, so I just want to jump in here really quick and let you know that, we're almost to the end of our agenda tonight. But the last important things are ELPCO business. And I need to make some introductions before we go into this ELPCO business. First of all, there are several board members online and in the room, and I want to make sure everybody here is identified. Usually we do this at the beginning of the meeting, but because we have to do some voting tonight, I decided to do it at the end. So we're going to put it in right now. So over here to my right, we have Jeanette. Jeanette Young serves as our secretary and our treasurer. We have Judy. Judy is actually the first vice chair of the Sugar House Community Council. But we have a overlap. She does their land use committee and has for several years. Judy is our land use advisor because we share an overlap between 1300 and 1700 South. So if you guys have heard about like this new bar that came in along the
Yes.
Kensington Byway, ELPCO did all of the land use and zoning to get that neighborhood bar in, even though it's essentially, most people in that area identify with Sugar House. So that's a little bit confusing. So, you know, she is a staple at all of our meetings, and we really honestly just love Judy's support. So also in the room or online, you got to hear from Jeff Larson, who I introduced as our vice chair. Jeff has been with East Liberty Park for quite a while. So he and I are sort of the oldest members, and we kind of hold and maintain the organizational history. Neither one of us want to do this forever, but until our newer folks that have stepped up, when I became chair, we essentially went from 5 to, you know, we were up to 11 members at one point. Because we need volunteers, we need folks. So I really am thankful to Jeff for all the hard work he does in order to sort of keep gluing us together, and also talking me down off a ledge when I get super stressed out. So thank you, Jeff. Love ya. Also online, we have Marshall Bailey. Marshall Bailey is, he's our water guru. And in fact, he has been really helpful to us regarding the planning for the Salt Lake City Foothills and Trails plan and anything that has to do with water. He works for the state in water, and we can tell you more about Marshall, but he's not up for a re-election tonight. So we don't need to go into depth on him. But the people in the room who will be taking on new positions, I want to introduce you to James here. James, I'm gonna actually let you introduce yourself and tell him just like in the short period of time, why you're interested in being our new Gilmer Park representative.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm James Birchler. I live in Gilmore Park. So there's a reason right there. And you know, I guess I've been sitting here wondering what would be important for you to know. So I think that as an overrepresented person, I was really interested in seeing how ELPCO operates and tries to gather diverse voices. And I operate like that. And so I want to be a gatherer of those diverse voices and then use my overrepresentedness to amplify those voices. So I think that's important to know about me. I studied environmental science at UC Santa Barbara with people who did things like got the text that established Earth Day into the congressional record following the Santa Barbara oil spill in 1969, and you know, established an environmental defense center there, and kind of inspired me to study environmental law. And I didn't do anything with that, but I became a land use planner for the county of Santa Barbara, doing long range environmental planning. And then I worked for the city of Fort Collins as a natural resource planner, doing recycling and solid waste stuff. And then I worked in tech for a while, and now I'm a small business owner and an executive coach. And I've got a little bit of time, and I got kind of directly involved. Justin's not on the phone anymore, but wow, was I identifying with him, because there was a street crossing issue where I walked my kid to school in our neighborhood, and you know, almost getting run over like 4 times a day, and dealing with the city for 5 months and going through that whole process to get them to fix it. Anyway, I'm inspired to help and be a voice to help good things happen for the neighborhood.
Great. So happy to have you. So the formal process is that I need a motion from someone in the crowd to nominate this motion. Okay, I need a second to that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Do we get to vote?
I know, I was like, oh, we're supposed to go, that's why I. Okay, sure.
Again, according to our bylaws, business owners are members of our community. So, you know, all of you vote.
Sorry, yeah.
All
I
of
was
you
like,
business
what-
owners get a
what on the
vote
board on
in
the
our
committee?
decisions, yeah, so that's why I said we're so excited to have you, because there's no reason why you shouldn't weigh in on this in terms. And then, that was Marshall, he said thumbs up, so, we don't have anybody else, that's running against you, so welcome to the team,
Thanks.
right? Yay, happy to have you, it's a 2-year.
Say your name again.
James Birchler.
So the other folks that we have up for, up tonight are actually Jeanette, who is instrumental in running ELPCO in so many different ways. And, she's up for re-election. We don't have anybody running against her, so I need the same process though to re-elect her for a second term. Anybody have a motion?
Motion?
Okay, there's been a
Thank
motion.
you.
Who's the second?
I'll be glad to send it.
Great, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay, okay, welcome back, Jeanette.
I missed you.
Short second. So then, the only other person that we have up for election tonight, that is in the room is actually Janet. Amy Albo, who was the resident that was serving as our 9th and 9th Business District Liaison, is now passing the mantle to Janet. So can we have a motion? Great. And a second there, all in favor? Okay, this is important. We have to do this as a recognized community organization. We are created by ordinance of Salt Lake City, so we have to go through these motions. So thanks for entertaining that. All right, so Alan Crittenden, who is a member at large, he's actually neighbors with Marshall in the East Liberty Park area, which is just down, they live just down from the 9th and 9th Business District. Alan serves as our Land Use Committee Chair right now, our Land Use and Transportation Committee Chair. He is actually in Europe, and we don't have anybody who has asked to run against him, so I need a nomination. He's excited about continuing if he gets reelected.
I'll
tonight,
move that
so-
he get reelected.
Okay. Do I have a second? All right, all in favor? Fantastic. Okay, so then, I think that does her. I guess I should say, is there anybody else in the room who's interested in a board position for ELPCO? Online? No. Okay, great. So the other things that we have to cover very quickly is, Amy Hawkins back in the spring, she presented our team with information about, some changes that happened to the Recognized Community Organization Ordinance. And we have all been sort of waiting for the city to sort of make some changes and have some influence so that we could, continue our mission of updating our bylaws. Now, we committed a group of folks that are a committee to updating our bylaws, and they are really important to update the bylaws. We also have to send them to the city. They're registered by the city because it's an ordinance that created us. So I just want to make it very clear to everybody in the room, without going into much detail, since it's 9 o'clock, that if there is some glaring emergency issue with our bylaws that we're not following, we need to know about it this week, right? If there are just subtle things that we've grown out of that need to have changes, then we're going to continue in the committee to update the bylaws. Now, because we don't live in a vacuum, we're going to have to update our bylaws in the ecology of this new RCO stuff that's going to come up, which is still very much up in the air. I want to thank Amy, who is in this capacity. I'm talking to Amy, who I've worked with for a few years now, as the chair of the Ballpark Community Council, for presenting that and sort of spearheading it to the city. Thank you, Amy.
In a very circular fashion, this came from doing a long overdue update to our bylaws, which had 2 years ago, which hadn't been updated since 2012, 2014, something like that. And that's when we found, courtesy of like a huge collaboration, like, oh wow, the liability stuff changed. How do we deal with that? So I really appreciate lots of people in the room help with that.
So there was a little bit miscommunication among our own crew that, you know, like, that we had stopped working on the bylaws, but in reality, it's just that government works at slow pace. So Jeff, and I, and David and Jeanette and Alan, who have been working on the bylaw committee, are just gonna continue to kind of pound away at that. And of course, you're more than welcome to participate, and you're more than welcome to participate, in this committee.
Where are they?
Well, we haven't, we're gonna reset our times again,
So
so.
where are the bylaws? Are they on the website?
Oh, that's a very good thing. The bylaws that haven't been updated for a while, since before I became chair, are always on our website, right? There's a direct link to our boundaries and our bylaws and our articles of incorporation. 24/7 available on our bylaws. On our website
too, aren't they?
Yeah, they're also in the cities, like I said, it's because it's registered. So before we leave you tonight, I want to do some other really important introductions. We have both of our candidates to replace Darren Mono, our current District 5 city council person. Of course, we have Erica Carlson and we have Amy Hawkins. We recently just all collaborated, all of the D5 community councils came together on the 9th of October, and we hosted a really detailed forum in which these two wonderful women just knocked it out of the ballpark with their answers. It was really incredible. Oh, yeah. Well, I have to say that they both reside in Ballpark, and they both are community advocates in Ballpark. So even though I didn't mean to be funny, you'll come to realize I'm not a very funny person, so I'm kind of proud of myself. Right? You know, get to know these people, and you know, they want to hear from you. They want to hear from your businesses. They want to talk to you one-on-one. So like, please contact them directly if you know, if you need a hookup, I'll introduce you. But here, you know, please tell your neighbors and your friends that they want your vote. And but I want to be very clear that D5 is in good hands moving forward. So whoever wins, you know, best of luck to you both. Right?
Vance.
Yep.
So I always bring up,
Yeah.
there's an unusual third candidate.
But I don't believe it, because every time I've called, I've never heard.
We saw him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I heard that. He did come today.
There's footage of him.
Yeah.
Courtesy of ABC4.
That's right. At the kind of debate, he was there.
That's another debate that you can actually access online too. Ours is on our Facebook page, but yes. Does anybody have any more questions before we adjourn this meeting? Okay, our next meeting is not until the 4th Thursday in January, so we have a lot of time to do the behind the scenes work. And happy holidays. Love you all. Thanks for coming. I am officially adjourning the meeting of ELPCO's October 2025 community meeting. Thanks for coming. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for
Congratulations to the board members.